You know the story of King Arthur, right? The Sword in the Stone, Camelot, the Knights of the Round Table. It's this epic tale of a lost golden age. But what if I told you that legend isn't just stuck in some dusty old book? What if it's alive? It's changing, and the once and future king is actually walking around right now. So let's just jump right in with a pretty wild thought. What if that legendary king came back to save Britain, but his biggest enemy wasn't some invading army, but, modern day bureaucracy? It sounds almost like a movie plot, but it is the perfect way to understand how this ancient myth is still playing out in our world. Because to really get a handle on the myth, you first have to meet the man. A man who says he's it. The once and future king returned. Okay, so on the left, you've got John Timothy Rothwell. He's an ex-soldier, a self-described greaser, and the founder of a biker club called the Gravediggers. Now, on the right, Arthur Uther Pendragon, the reincarnated king, a neo-druid leader, and a battle chieftain. These seem like two totally different people from two totally different worlds, except they're not. They are the exact same person. So the real question is, how in the world does that happen? Well, believe it or not, it all started with a book. After he'd served in the army and spent years living this counterculture biker lifestyle, Rothwell picked up a book about King Arthur's connection to the occult. And as he was reading, something just clicked. For him, this wasn't just some old story. He was completely convinced it was his story. So in 1986, he went and made it official, legally changed his name. John Rothwell was gone, King Arthur was back. And he didn't just choose the name Arthur, he took on the title Pendragon. And this was no random choice, it is absolutely steeped in history. In Welsh, it literally means chief dragon, but what it really meant was commander-in-chief. It was the title held by the original Arthur's father, King Uther. So he's tying himself directly to the deepest roots of the legend. But that just begs the question, right? Where did this whole legend even come from in the first place? To understand our modern Arthur, we've got to go way back. Back to a Britain that was falling apart, a time that was desperately searching for a hero. So I want you to picture this. It's the 5th century. The Roman Empire has controlled Britain for hundreds of years, and then they just leave. The fallout is instant, and it's a catastrophe. The economy completely collapses. Society breaks down into these little kingdoms run by warlords. And the island is getting hammered by attacks from the Picts up north and Saxon invaders from the east. I mean, historians today basically call it a failed state. And hey, you don't have to take a modern historian's word for it. This quote is from a monk named Gildas, who was actually writing back in the 6th century. He's describing a land run by tyrants, preying on the innocent. I mean, it is a world that is just crying out for a savior, for someone to unite them. It was a world that needed a King Arthur. But here's the first major twist when you look at the actual history. That monk, Gildas, the one who described all that chaos, he also wrote about this massive, tide-turning victory for the Britons at a place called the Battle of Badon. But guess who he doesn't mention? Not even once. Arthur. In fact, the name Arthur doesn't even show up for another 300 years, when a different writer, Nennius, finally tells us about a great warrior, a commander, mind you, not a king, who won 12 huge battles. So, if the historical Arthur, if he even existed, was just a battle commander, how did he become the king of Camelot with a magic sword and a round table? Well, let's just say he had some help from a few brilliant storytellers. So how do we get from a warrior to a king? This timeline lays it all out. It starts around 830 with Nennius, who gives us the warrior. But then, check out the jump to 1136. A writer named Geoffrey of Monmouth completely changes the game by making Arthur a king. A little while later, a poet named Wace throws in the Round Table. And finally, the French poet Chrétien de Troyes adds all the romantic stuff we know today: Camelot, Lancelot, the Holy Grail. You can literally see the legend being built piece by piece over centuries. Let's zero in on Geoffrey of Monmouth for a second, because he is the real architect here. His book, History of the Kings of Britain, is basically the blueprint for the Arthur we know. He's the one who gave Arthur a royal family as the son of Uther Pendragon. He introduced us to the wizard Merlin, the evil nephew Mordred, and that mystical island of Avalon where Arthur goes to heal. Honestly, without Geoffrey, the legend of Arthur might have just fizzled out. Then the story moves over to France, and that's where it really gets its soul. The poet Wace gives us the Round Table, that incredible symbol of brotherhood and equality. But it's Chrétien de Troyes who really injects the drama and romance we love. The shining castle of Camelot, the noble Sir Lancelot, his heartbreaking affair with Guinevere. and the epic quest for the Holy Grail. This is what made the story a global sensation. Okay, so the legend is built. Now let's jump back to the 21st century and our modern King Arthur, because just like the original, he has his own defining quest. His Camelot isn't a castle, it's Stonehenge. For Arthur and the Neo-Druid community, this ancient monument is their temple, a sacred site. And he was absolutely furious that English Heritage, the group that manages the site, was charging people money to get in. So he dedicated his life to a new quest, to win free and open access to the stones for everyone. And let me tell you, he fought this battle with incredible persistence. I mean, look at this timeline. His campaign went on for years. It started with him picketing outside Stonehenge every single day. Then he took his fight all the way to the European Court of Human Rights. He even set up a protest camp nearby that lasted for 10 months. And you know what? It worked. In the year 2000, he won a huge victory when English Heritage agreed to open access for the summer solstice. Now, this quest came at a massive personal cost. The modern King Arthur has been arrested over 30 times, mostly for trespassing, all in the name of his cause. So whether you agree with his methods or not, you absolutely can't deny his dedication. So what is it? What's the thread that connects this modern-day protester with a mythical king from the Dark Ages? Why does this story still have such an incredibly powerful grip on all of us? This table here really just nails it. Look at these parallels. The mythical Arthur's quest was to unite a broken Britain. The modern Arthur's is to get free access to Stonehenge. The symbols change. Excalibur becomes druidic robes. The enemies change from Saxon warriors to government agencies and police. But the core theme, the legacy, it's exactly the same. One person fighting against overwhelming odds for what they believe in. And this right here gets to the absolute heart of why this legend is still around. There is no one single true version of King Arthur. His real magic is his ability to change. He was a fierce warrior when Britain needed a protector. He was a chivalrous king for an age of romance. And today, for people like Arthur Pendragon, he's an eco-activist. Each generation gets the Arthur that it needs. You know, Professor Leah Tethers sums it up perfectly. The legend just has everything. You've got flawed characters we can all relate to, you've got these impossible quests, and you've got a story that can be bent and shaped to fit anytime. It's like a mirror that shows us our own hopes and fears. And that really leaves us with one last big question. The story of both Arthurs, the ancient one and the modern one, it isn't just about the past. It's about us right now. It makes us ask, what do we need from our heroes today? And what happens when a totally ordinary person decides to step up and try to become one? It's a question the legend of Arthur has been helping us answer for 1,500 years, and it'll probably be doing it for 1,500 more.